All right, folks, so what we have here is the Retevis RB38V, and it is a two-way handheld radio on the MURS bands, multi-use radio service, and we'll discuss what that is and what that means in more detail in a little bit. But I just wanted to show the radio. There is a spot for a pocket clip. It does have a removable battery. Comes off pretty easily. The battery is 3.7 volts and it is 1500 milliamps. Let's go ahead and put that back on. It has this antenna that it comes with, and what's interesting about MURS is that you are allowed to swap out your antenna. So you have an SMA female connector here, and then you can put an SMA male antenna on. You do want to make sure that your antenna is tuned for MURS frequencies should you choose to use a different antenna. Otherwise, you may have standing wave ratio or SWR problems. You turn it on by pressing this button.
Power on.
And you have a power on. Now, a short press of these two buttons will allow you to cycle through your volume. Up top, you have a channel selector.
5, 1, 2, 3, 4.
And this radio comes pre-programmed with all 5 MURS channels, and we'll take a look at the programming software that comes with this radio. On the side, you have a mic and a speaker port, should you choose to use an optional accessory here, like a hand mic or an ear set mic. You also use this to program the radio, which we are going to do in this video. And then here's your PTT. Okay, that was weird. When I pushed the PTT button, it disabled my microphone on my computer, and it took me a little bit of time to figure that out. So I'm not going to push it again, but this is the PTT, or push to talk button. Also, these buttons on the side are programmable via the software, and you can do a long press on these. So short press adjusts your volume like we saw. Long press will do something else. And here it is enabled Vox, I believe. Okay, we're going to dig in and we're going to take a look at this and see what it's all about. So before we go any further with the video, I did want to say that I was contacted by Retevis, and they asked if I would review these radios for them. So they did send them to me free of charge in exchange for this video review. Here is the Retevis website, and we are looking at the overview for the radio. And I'll include this link below, as well as an Amazon purchase link. And when you scroll through here, you can see all the different features that come along with this radio. But we're not going to spend a whole lot of time here because we are going to run through the radio ourselves. I did want to pull up this specification chart that they have here, and it goes through various things. I did want to mention down under transmitter, you can see the output power is 2 watts or 0.5 watts, configurable in the software. The other thing is over here on this tab underneath support, you can go to firmware software, and then you can download the software that runs on Windows only. You will need a cable to connect to your computer. Any of the Chinese radios like the Baofengs or the Waxuns, any of those cables should work just fine for you. Also, you can download an English version of the manual in PDF form. So quickly, let's take a look and see what ships inside the box. Here you can see the model number, and you can see the frequencies are MURS. It is less than 2 watts, and the operating voltage is 3.7. So let's just go ahead and open this up. And in each one of these, you will receive an instruction manual. Awesome. And you will receive a hand mic, and we talked a little bit about these and how you would connect those, and we took a look at the port. Here you have a charging cradle, and note that it is USB powered. And here it tells you the model number that you would use from a radio standpoint, and it talks about your current input and output. Quickly, here's the radio, here's the battery. We don't really need to look at those because we already did. It comes with this pocket clip. We took a look at where that attaches, and it comes with a very handy lanyard. Now, I don't use a lanyard with my HTs, but plenty of people do and they love them. It comes with this particular device, and I would imagine that this clips onto the radio somewhere and gives you some stress relief for the hand mic. Here is your antenna. And then here is a wall outlet plug that you can use. Okay, what I want to show here is my device manager. And over here under ports, COM and LPT, you can see USB serial CH340 on COM6. That's because I am using a CH340 chipped cable on COM6 to program my radio. Yours may look different if you're using a FTDI or a prolific chipset. I'm using a CH340 because that's what I have. And here is the programming software. So the first thing I want to do is I want to come under program and I want to go to port select. And I'm going to pick port 6 because that's how I'm connected. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click yes. And down here in the lower corner you see COM port 6. So I am now connected. What I may want to do is copy and save my current configuration that comes factory configured on the radio. So what I will do is click read, and this will read the information from my radio. And it has completed. Now I can click here and save this in any file or folder that I want, and it can keep my factory configuration. So a couple of things I wanted to go through. Here you can see the different RX frequencies and TX frequencies, and these correspond with the MURS frequencies. Currently they're all set to high power, but I could change this to low power if I want. But I don't want to do that because I like running on high power. Here it shows my bandwidth, which is important. So right here, this is 11.25, and I can not change that. Up top, there's some basic settings like your squelch level, your current channel when you turn on, Roger beep. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this at TX end because I like Roger beeps. I have my Vox turned off. I can set my Vox level, my Vox delay, display timer, key lock, volume level, and weather is off. Let's go ahead and turn weather on. Now, my side key 1 has just changed to weather. It did say Vox because I had Vox on and weather off. I can drop this and I can pick a number of different settings for that side key, but we're going to leave it like this. And then side key 2 for monitor, and that basically just opens my squelch. Actually, I really don't like that, but let's go ahead and switch it from power high to low. So I've made my settings changes. Let's see what we want to do here, and I'm going to write this back to my radio. Now it's asking me to write information, and I am going to say yes, but I'm not going to close my application after completion. Now it's completed. Let's go ahead and take a look at the radio. All right, so here's my radio.
5, 4,
If I go ahead and push this button, long press,
6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4.
it sets up for weather, but it doesn't appear that I'm picking anything up. And that just could be the antenna. It could be my location. It could be anything. We'll see if we can figure this out. Oh, look, it's scanning. Let me go ahead and long press and turn that off. So now we are back into our normal channel mode. And let's see if I can change my power settings. I guess that's the indicator for power setting change.
4, 3, 2, 1.
So let's take a few minutes to talk about MURS and what is MURS. So as mentioned earlier, it's multi-use radio service, and it is a channelized radio service in the 151 to 154 megahertz of radio spectrum. No license is required for MURS. Typically, it is used by businesses, particularly small businesses. But you as a radio enthusiast can use this. Typically used for short-range two-way radio communication, and it's limited to 2 watts. And that's why it's limited to shortwave radio communications, plus the frequencies. So let's take a look at the frequencies and in particular channel bandwidth. So channel bandwidth is either 11.25 kilohertz or 20 kilohertz, which makes it different from narrow FM or wide FM. And it makes it different. A lot of people will talk about, well, I can just use my Baofeng and program it to those channels illegally and go ahead and use MURS. Well, you can do that with other Baofengs illegally, and you will have trouble sending and receiving signals to legitimate MURS users because of the bandwidth limitations. Here on these 5 channels, you can see the bandwidth limitation designators, the last 2 at 20,000 hertz. I did want to mention that when we were doing the software overview, I attempted to change the bandwidth of the first channel, and I was unable to do so. But down at the bottom, and I'll illustrate with an arrow, the last 2 channels can be changed to 20,000 kilohertz. Now this should be set automatically and should not give you the option to toggle between both, but you can. Okay, let's keep moving on. So I connected the radio to my Siglent spectrum analyzer. I'm going through a 40 dB attenuator and directly into my RF input on the spectrum analyzer. And then I am going to set some parameters here like my start, stop frequency, and my center frequency. Once I do that, I am going to go ahead and key up this radio, and you can see the fundamental, absent of any spurious emissions. And that's the test that we're doing. We are testing to see if there are any spurious emissions coming out of this radio. And it looks pretty clean. I'm going to zoom in a little bit and take a look at the frequency in a little more detail. And again, it looks pretty clean. So overall, I'm impressed with this radio and its output. Man, we got a ton of interference out here today, but let's see what happens. This is a test. Testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Maybe I'll keep it on camera. How about now? How about now?
To me, it sounds about exactly the same.
Good, because I didn't do anything different.
Well, then that would make sense.
Bye. All right, folks, and that is going to take us to the final thoughts. These radios, I think you can get a 2-pack of these off of Amazon for $50, or you can get a 3-pack for $60. I think I would go the 3-pack route if I was going to buy these. They're pretty handy, and you can use them with your family when you're out hiking, camping, or doing whatever it is that you do. MURS is a little known or little used frequency band in personal radio. As I mentioned, it's used more in business type radio, but it's an option that is available to you and seems like a viable option to me. I'm going to use these on an upcoming trip and see what happens. Anyhow, thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, or recommendations, go ahead and post them below. Also, I want to say thank you to Retevis for sending these to me for my consideration.